Hey everybody. Kim, are we live? Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or evening. Happy Friday, if it's still Friday for you. Welcome to our weekly Flow office hours. We've got some exciting stuff to run through today. Got several folks from the community that will be presenting demos and just talking about cool stuff that's happening on Flow. Before we get into that, we're going to do a round of intros from our folks on the Flow team. I'm Albert, and I'm a solutions engineer on the Flow team. We're going to be going alphabetically. You're up, Ben.
Hi, I'm Ben. I'm Technical Content Marketing Manager. And yeah, I write technical content and do cryptodepty stuff.
Hey, I'm Yanis. I work on the Flow virtual machine.
Hey, I'm Josh. I'm a cadence developer on the Flow team.
Hey, I'm Kerry. I've been recently helping with the request, the pull request. And Peter, you're next.
Hey everybody, I'm Peter. I'm a software engineer on the developer experience team.
Hi everybody, I'm James. I work on FCL and the JavaScript SDK.
Hi y'all, my name is Kim and I work as a developer advocate for Flow.
Well, is that everybody? Almost. Or is that everybody? Gregor.
Hi. Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm a software engineer on developer experience team.
Thanks, Gregor. Yeah, everyone that just said hi is super talented, and it's really cool to have everybody in one place. So I'm excited about today. We're going to do a quick video. Kim, do you want to get the TLDR going?
For sure. Let's get started with the TLDR, y'all. I'm just gonna share it really quick. Share. There we go. Just a reminder, if the volume is a little soft, you can right-click the stream and adjust the volume there. Cool. Hello and welcome to TLDR Updates on Flow. My name is Kim and I'm here to fill you in on all the cool things that's been happening in the Flow ecosystem. First up, we've got more FlowFest drops on the way next week. Jam packs will be ready to be opened on the 16th, and we have the Method Man TCal Universe drop on the 18th, and Rare Room has a special drop lined up on the 19th. Keep up with everything at flowverse.co. Rarible has officially launched its integration with Flow, meaning you can now buy, sell, and mint your Flow NFTs on their marketplace. It is awesome to be the second blockchain supported by Rarible, building a truly open and multi-chain metaverse on one of the biggest NFT marketplaces in the world. Check it out today at rarible.com. The Gig Street team is doubling down on its support of the Flow ecosystem, expanding their partnership with Dapper Labs to further accelerate development on Flow. Their team is committed to building a dedicated education program to quickly onboard engineers and also building out open source frameworks to supercharge marketplace development on Flow. Check out the full news drop in the link below. We wanted to give a quick shout out to the NFT Genius team after their sold out Ballers drop this past week. Over 8,000 ballers found their new home, and the community has been going crazy since then. The Generative PFP project also had a smooth NFT reveal, finally showing collectors what their team of ballers looks like. Keep your eye out on future updates like trait reveals and utilities at the link below. Method Man is bringing the TCal universe to Flow, launching his first drop next week on the 18th. Their team is launching 4 unique NFTs with a unique reward that every collector will definitely want. only if you collect the whole set. Any early adopter that supports their project and buys one of each will get an OG status that will grant access to future utility, perks, and experiences. More on this drop soon, but for now, keep your eye out as details are on the way. And now, let's do a quick recap of FlipFest now that things are over. Over 14 months of development hours were completed in less than 2 months by all the participants. There were 82 submissions and over 80% of them were reviewed and will receive a reward for their contributions. Over 750,000 USD in rewards will be handed out to the 30 plus winning teams. An incredible achievement by the entire developer community on Flow. And to wrap things up, we will be hosting a closing ceremony on November 23rd, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Find more details on it below. And we've reached the end of TLDR updates on Flow. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you next week. Bye!
Awesome. Thanks for that, Kim. A lot of exciting stuff happened.
For sure.
And is continuing to happen. So we've got Jacob from one of our amazing ecosystem partners, Decentology. Jacob, did you want to unmute and tell us a little bit about you and Decentology and what you've got that you'll be presenting today?
Sure, yeah. Thank you so much, Albert, first of all. And I see a ton of friendly faces here, both in the Flow community and on the Flow and Dapper team. So thank you, everyone, for taking the time to listen to me today. I'm going to be talking about something that Decentology is doing. I'm a smart contract developer at Decentology. And we're launching something called Hyperhack. So let me actually share my screen. And is it okay if I just dive right into things?
Please. And thank you for doing so.
Of course, yeah. So yeah, once again, thank you, everybody. So I'm currently sharing my screen, and what you're hopefully seeing is something that we're calling Hyperhack. So I'm at decentology.com/hyperhack, and this is sort of our landing page for a hackathon that we're doing during the month of November. So you're probably wondering what this even is, and so that's sort of going to be the point of this presentation. I'm going to just go over a broad overview of what Hyperhack is and a short little demo to kind of go over it. So, and if you have any questions throughout this demo, feel free to just reach out to me afterwards, or I'll go over that in a bit. So yeah, so Decentology. So we are currently, we're calling it the alpha launch of Hyperverse. Hyperverse is a network of composable smart contracts that we're initially launching on the Flow blockchain. So we're really excited, and we're actually partnering with the lovely Flow team, as you'll see here, for this hackathon. And so this is open to all developers, whether you're Web 2, Web 3. If you have no knowledge of Web 3, that's totally fine. You don't even have to have too much developer experience. It truly is open to everybody. And so if you are curious or registering, you can click this button here. But let's actually go into a bit of what Hyperhack is. So it's really a means of onboarding a bunch of people, like I said, regardless of developer experience, into the Web3 ecosystem, and also to get people introduced to this composable network of smart contracts that we're launching. And so this really gives you the ability to learn about the Decentology's Hyperverse, share your ideas through written or visual content, and I'll go over that in a second, and also build an actual dApp using the composable smart contracts that we've developed. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this Get Started link, and this is going to take us to the documentation page for Hyperhack. And I'm just going to walk through what are some ways you can actually get participating and stuff like that. So you can read through this, but I'm actually going to skip to the categories of participants and how you can actually participate in this hackathon. So there's three main categories. One is called Thinker. And this category is for anyone who wants to, may not want to develop, but to make content about the Hyperverse. And so what we even said is that you could make TikToks about the Hyperverse. You could make funny videos. You could literally do anything that comes to mind, any creative project. That content would really just focus on stuff that you're learning about the Hyperverse and smart contracts on Flow while participating in this hackathon. The second step here is called Scholar, and this is sort of anyone that wants to write a blog about best practices, about building composable smart contracts on the Hyperverse and stuff like that, or building a dApp. And then the third category here is Tinker, and so these are people that are actually going to be developing dApps using the composable smart contracts. And this is sort of the short little demo that I'm going to be showing in a second. And then the fourth category here is Ninja, and this is anybody that just this is sort of the overall grand prize for anyone that participates in the previous three categories. They can win a grand prize here. We got a fun little Naruto reference if anyone has watched that show. So we're actually gonna get started here, and there's some short descriptions of stuff that I just went over, but I'm sort of gonna go over this Tinker category here about actually building dApps. And so if we go to this page here called Cloning the Hyperhack Repository from GitHub, there's some short little steps of how to actually sort of get this repository onto your system so you can actually launch this little repo that we have set up. And so I hope that you can see my terminal screen here. I've already git cloned this onto my computer, and I've already done the whole yarn process just to save some effort here. Of course, I would love to sit and chat through the wonderful yarn process, but I figured that would probably take a little too much time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to yarn this project and get it running. And what it's going to do is start setting up my application. So it'll launch this web page here called decentology.dev, and it's just going to do some quick setup here. And then I'm just going to walk through what composable smart contracts even are and what are some ways you can actually get developing on the Hyperverse. So it brings us to this initial page called Client. And so as a tinker, what you're going to be doing is actually developing dApps on the Hyperverse. Now, the goal is that because this hackathon doesn't actually require any Web3 experience, we've done all the Web3 coding for you. So we've created the contracts, we've created the transactions and scripts, and so we've done all of that and published them as modules. And so if you go to the playground on the left-hand side here, you'll see there's actually 7 different modules that you can pick from to start interacting with the Hyperverse. So we've set up a simple hello world, we've set up a simple NFT, a fungible token here, some marketplaces, and another one called Tribes, which I'm going to go more in depth on in a second. So all the Web3 sort of code and Cadence code has already been done for you. And so if you're interested, of course, you could check out this code, and I'd be happy to walk through this with anybody. But yeah, so these modules are out there for you. And the idea is that as a tinker, you'll sort of be pulling these modules together and creating a dApp around them to sort of create a fun experience. And so if I go to this client here, this is a sample application that you would be making as a tinker that uses the dApps or uses the smart contracts we've deployed to actually make your own dApp. And so to kind of give a brief explanation of what composable smart contracts even are, you can think of contracts that are already deployed to the blockchain that you didn't develop, that someone else developed and they put out there on the Hyperverse. And you sort of pull them into your own smart contracts or your own applications and start using them. And so if you're interested in that, that's a whole separate discussion that we could, if you have any questions about that, you could reach out to me afterwards if you're curious about the Hyperverse. But I sort of wanted to jump into a demo here while I have the time. So what we're looking at now is a sample application on the Hyperverse that uses smart contracts that are already deployed to the blockchain. And so if we click to sort of get started, you'll see that it's going to give us a little warning here that says in order to get this project running, we actually need to run a transaction in our playground. And so let's actually go back to our playground and start initializing accounts, which is part of the standard flow process to actually get our module going. So what I've done is I've clicked on one of the modules, and this is called Tribes. And so there's a bunch of what we call action cards here. And so these are individual transactions and scripts that, again, you don't have to write any of the code for. These are all just little buttons and account widgets that you can select from. So for example, if we wanted to run this transaction called instance, which will actually set up our admin account, we could select the admin account and then click submit. And boom, it'll run a transaction on a local emulator for us, give us the transaction hash and this amazing green box saying, hey, you've done an amazing job, you're good to go. And so all of these little boxes here are, like I said, individual transactions and scripts you can run. And so the tribes module, just to give a brief explanation, is a smart contract where users can join what we call tribes. And these tribes are sort of set up by the admin account. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to create a new tribe with a sample name, a description, and an image for our tribe. And so let's actually do that together. So this tribe name I'm just going to call like dragons, and the description is going to be a bunch of cool dragons. And I'm going to click on Browse Files here, and I'm going to go to my downloads and just click on this, this little image here, and this is going to pull up a little dragon image. And so this is all being put onto IPFS, which is a decentralized storage network that I'm going to be using to upload my file. And so we're going to click on Add a New Tribe. We're going to submit this. And look, the transaction went through, which is awesome, right? So now that we've done this, let's actually go back to our client and click on Join a Tribe here. And so what's going to happen is it's going to list the tribe that we actually just created. And so this is sort of an example of how you would interact with the the modules that are already deployed onto the blockchain to actually get a cool application running. And so I can bring up the code in a second here, but let's actually go through this sort of process. So if I want to select my tribe, I can click on Dragon, and then now I'm actually in the Dragon tribe. So in the background, it just ran a transaction to actually have my account, which is currently hard-coded in the client, to one of the accounts that we were showing before, to actually join this Dragon's tribe. And so you can see there's an image here, there's a name, there's a description, and it's getting all of this information from the blockchain. And so you're probably wondering, well, if I'm setting up my client application, how am I going to, communicate with the blockchain if I don't know any Web3 code? Well, that's totally fine. Like I said before, we've actually set up the transactions and scripts for you and documented each of them so that you can just make those calls to the blockchain to get this information. And so if we wanted to, we could, leave this tribe. And so if I click leave, that'll run a transaction to leave the tribe. And now we're back to the sort of home screen here. And so if we wanted to, we could set up a client for all of these modules. We could even combine them together. We could use tribes and a simple non-fungible token. Maybe you want an application where if you have an NFT, you're allowed to join a tribe, right? So maybe we're using these two together. So you can do really a bunch of things here. You can pull from all 7 of them if you wanted to. That would get, I guess, a little crazy. But you could really do whatever you want, and we're just opening this up to sort of any developer to be able to come in here and sort of start working with blockchain code, or more specifically, Cadence code, without having to have extensive experience about that. And so just to sort of wrap up here, if you have any questions about this, like I said, please feel free to reach out to me, on Twitter, on Discord, on literally anything. We also are hosting office hours 3 times a week. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I believe on Monday and Friday it's at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and on Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And those office hours are really, again, for anybody, whether you're a Web 2 developer, Web 3 developer, anything at all, to sort of answer your questions on how to get building. We also have some tabs on the side here. Here's a Hyperhack tab to find all the resources you may need when developing on the Hyperverse. A support page here as well to help you in your journey. And also, like I said before, this isn't just for developers per se, but it's also, there's these thinker and scholar categories. You can make TikToks about what modules you might create. I'm not a creative person myself, but if you looked at this and you said, hey, I can make a really cool tribes module with simple NFT, and you want to do a cool little TikTok dance or YouTube video, or literally make a blog or anything at all, feel free to do so, and you can compete for some cool prizes. So I don't want to take up too much time, so I'm going to pause there, and I'm going to field any questions that you guys may have.
Well, Jacob, first of all, you can take all the time you like. What you've just gone over is so awesome. Wow, like I'm kind of speechless, and a lot of people side slacked me while you were presenting, just to express how cool they think all of this is.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, great. If anybody wants to, chime in with a question, I see someone's unmuted. Please go ahead.
Question?
Mac, go ahead.
Yeah, this looks really great. I think having a no-code tool in the Flow ecosystem for building and composing smart contract systems is a huge win. So awesome work.
Thank you
Just
so much,
wondering,
Nick.
yeah, just wondering what, if any, future plans in terms of like smart contract modules or anything else you have for this.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So this is actually sort of our initial launch of the Hyperverse. And so, like I was saying earlier, the Hyperverse is sort of like a composable like network of smart contracts, and so that can kind of get confusing. It's like, what does that actually mean? I know that threw me off for a while, but really, what that means is that there's going to be sort of a entire ecosystem of smart contracts that are developed by Cadence developers, and so they'll put them onto the Hyperverse, which is sort of like this marketplace for smart contracts. And anyone that wants to use them will be able to pull from those smart contracts to use in their own dApp. And so it's sort of like a modular system where if someone's like, hey, I really want to be able to code out an NFT contract with, X, Y, and Z functionality, they can code that contract, they can put it out on the Hyperverse, and then anyone that wants to use that can pull that into their own applications and use that as they wish. And there's a lot of sort of technical details around that. We're thinking that the goal is that we'll also have like a built-in insurance layer around those smart modules that are out there on the Hyperverse. We'll have auditors actually constantly reviewing those smart contracts and staking tokens on the success of those contracts, so that there is sort of that built-in insurance layer for anyone using those smart contracts. And we're also thinking about having sort of a discoverability around this, so that we'll have sort of you can imagine like a web page out there where someone will type in, hey, I want an NFT contract, and a bunch of different NFT contracts will come up that are sort of different in their own modular way. Maybe one of them mints an NFT in some certain way, and another one does it in a different way, like in a batch or something like that. It's really anything you can imagine. And the other sort of idea there is that the developers that develop those smart contracts will be able to put them on the Hyperverse, and actually anyone that uses those smart contracts will actually pay a fee to the original developer, the auditors, etc. And so you can sort of view it as like an infinite stream of revenue for the developers that actually are coding those smart contracts. And so that's sort of why we call it sort of like a marketplace of smart contracts. And what this also means is that, sort of back to your original question, if you have no Web3 experience, these modules will have transactions, scripts, contracts already out there, so that if you're just a dApp developer that doesn't know too much about Cadence, you can pull in that whole module that maybe even depends on other modules. It can really extend far, and they'll be able to pull those into their application and just run a transaction without having to write any code. So that's sort of the hope there, and this is our initial launch of that. But this will hopefully and potentially grow into a much larger ecosystem.
Oh yeah, interesting. Thanks for the answer. There's a lot in there. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
That's game changing, Jacob. Wow. I mean, being able to create experiences on a blockchain without having to, know at a very high level, what's happening underneath the hood is a really special thing. We pride ourselves on having users not know that they're on a blockchain, but taking that a step further and making it so that developers really are kind of separated from that layer of complexity is really awesome. Did anybody else have any questions for Jacob while we have him?
I have a question. I was wondering if once you build a project, you are still learning the blockchain and everything, but then you eventually might grow up and you have to build other things. Is there a way also to export all your project and start building it custom, or it would be locked in and you would have to stay?
Oh no! So yeah, so if you developed an application for Hyperhack, you could take that application and continue with it as much as you want. The goal is not to lock anyone into their sort of submission, but to allow people to sort of get developing and get their initial dApps going, and you can take that in whatever direction you wish.
Awesome! That's great.
Sweet. Well, if are there any other questions?
Yeah, might have one question. I was curious about how you came up with sort of the initial feature set of all these different no-code smart contracts that you can combine together. And do this feature set vary from the Flow blockchain to Ethereum or others that you support as well?
So I think you're asking about how did we come up with like the initial like ideas for the modules, if I'm not mistaken. Is that your question?
Exactly, the building blocks. Exactly.
Yeah. So the truth is that I've been developing on Flow for quite a while now, and I at least what I wanted to do was say, hey, like we definitely should have like an NFT module. We should definitely have a fungible token module, a marketplace, right? Because those are pretty common on Flow. So those were sort of like the initial ideas. And then I started branching out like, oh, like maybe it'll be cool if we have sort of a tribes module where an admin can create a bunch of different tribes and people can join them. And this was sort of me just, thinking like, oh, if someone wants to create an application, for example, the tribes one that I showed, what would people find interest in? And so like something like the tribes, for example, I thought would be pretty interesting. You could do dragons, alchemists, and warriors, or you could do Star Wars lovers, Star Trek lovers, and Indiana Jones lovers. You could really do any sort of tribe system you want. So it was me just basically trying to say, hey, what would allow most people to sort of get developing on the Hyperverse? A good question.
Cool, thanks.
Right on. Would anybody else like to unmute and ask a question? And maybe introduce yourself too. That would be kind of nice to know who's asking. Got quite a group here. Jacob, thank you so much for taking the time to do that. Did you want to say one more time how folks can get in touch with you and participate?
Yeah, of course. So you can join our Discord. It's discord.gg/decentology. You can DM me on Twitter. You can DM me on Discord. My Twitter is Jacob M. Tucker if you have any questions. Literally anything at all. I'd be happy to answer any and all questions. And yeah, I'd like to thank the Flow team once again and all of you that are part of the Flow community for listening to me.
And we'd like to thank you for all the work you've done and for hanging out with us today and presenting all that awesome stuff. Looking forward to seeing how that develops and checking in.
Awesome.
Right on. So we've got another esteemed member of the Flow community who's contributed on a number of initiatives. Specifically, I really enjoyed Phil's video on our NFT storefront contract. Phil, how are you? Thanks for joining us.
I'm great.
Thanks for doing all the cool stuff you do. Yeah. What do we got going on today?
Well, let me just share my screen and I can show you all. Let me just find it. Here we go. Right. Can you guys see that?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, so thanks for having me today. And as a side note, if people haven't checked out Decentology and what they're doing, I strongly advise it because it's super cool. This will just be a really kind of short demo as there's not a lot to kind of talk about. But since I've been a member, I've seen a number of people ask where to go after completing the tutorials on the official documentation or kitty items and so on. So I thought I'd put together a resource to help them out. And I'll start with a little bit of background. So since the majority of people go from Web 2 to Web 3, a lot of you will know Nader Dabit, who I owe a mention because it was him that I got this idea from. And he put together an incredible resource called Awesome AWS Amplify. And it's basically a really comprehensive collection of all things AWS Amplify. And you can see he's done a really incredible job, and the list is endless. It covers so many different kind of facets and angles of the technology. So considering that we had a number of people asking where to go next, I thought I would borrow Nader's idea and put together something similar. So I created this repo called Get the Flow Down. I'm open to other names. That's the best that I could come up with. So if people want to suggest others, I'm happy to go with kind of like what people think's best. And you can see we've got the official documentation, we've got the GitHub, we've got the Discord, got some other communities, some blogs, intros. It's just kind of a collection of resources that I've put together as I've been going along. We've got NFTs here, we've got SDKs, which Max kindly contributed, videos, we've got some reference repos, and then some tools at the bottom. And I've had this, I made this on Wednesday, and I've kind of had it open the whole time and just been dropping things in as I've been going about my daily business. And it's very kind of open for contributions. So if you come across any cool articles or you've written any, then please do make a pull request and I'll include them. So I think that's everything. I'll leave it there.
Phil, we are so lucky to have folks like yourselves in Decentology enriching our ecosystem and the developer experience. So thank you so much.
No, I'm happy to.
For putting this together. This is so great. You're personally making my job easier, which we greatly appreciate.
I'm glad to help out.
So yeah. Was there stuff on here that you plan on adding? I mean, it's already quite comprehensive, and I feel like you'll definitely get help.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like I said, I've been kind of adding to it as I go along. So it's very much just, I suppose, in some ways, it's been documenting my learning kind of process, my journey along the way. But I mean, if we could get it to look anything like what Nader Dabit's achieved, I'd be happy with that, because he's done just such an amazing job. And there's so many resources out there across kind of like the internet on Flow, and it'd be nice to kind of pull them all in together to kind of have a place where people can go and learn.
Couldn't agree more. And yeah, there's quite a lot to cover. So this is a nice comprehensive start you've got going here, Phil. So thanks so much for that. Did anybody want to just say hi to Phil or ask any questions? Phil, can you tell us really quick? I mean, you participated in our Flip Fest. You built some things for us. You created some content. Do you want to maybe touch on any of that?
Yeah, so for FlipFest, I did the Crypto Dappy marketplace tutorial. I worked with Ben Ebner on that, and as part of that, I put together some tutorial videos. So there was about 11 videos. It came to about 4 hours of content. First time I've made videos before, so it was a learning process. And as part of that, I used the Kitty items repo to guide me. Mac gave me some help in figuring out how the kind of marketplace integrated with that, and I decided to create the Flow Event Marketplace Monitor, which is a repo where people can go and basically spin up their own backend that monitors the events being put on the blockchain. It saves them to DynamoDB, and it exposes an API via API gateway. So it's an AWS tech stack that people can deploy in like 3 or 4 clicks and have their own event listener. And yeah, I learned an incredible amount in doing that. I've kind of been reading the Discord every day, like catching up on what people have been doing, learning that way. And that's just reminded me, actually, another thing that would be quite useful that maybe people could start thinking about, that know more about this sort of stuff than I, but there's an incredible amount of knowledge in the Discord. If we could extract that somehow and either put it in that repo, or because I mean, I see people asking the same questions, like, I have this error, how do I fix it? It's just a thought. If we could kind of organize that information somehow, that would be amazing as well, because there's so much knowledge in the Discord.
Yeah, I think we've started mining Discord for some of that info, but certainly there's, like, at this point, years worth of interesting back and forth and content there that is worth preserving. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Definitely.
Do you have your own videos here in the Get the Flow Down repo?
No, I don't. I haven't.
You should put those in there, man.
I haven't linked them yet, but I will put them in there eventually. Yeah.
Well, and as far as I'm concerned, you've done an amazing job on those videos, and I had assumed you were, somebody that had a lot of experience building them. So nicely done.
Thanks a lot.
And very cool about that thing you built on AWS to manage events and listen for those with just a few clicks. That's quite that's a very nice tool set to have. So thank you for doing that.
Cheers. And I will be kind of building that out further, because I think when I presented it a couple of weeks ago, I made clear I'm not an expert on AWS. I don't claim to be, but I'm going to carry on improving that.
Well, what you've got is probably an amazing start, if nothing else. So don't sell yourself short there, Phil.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Did anybody want to ask Phil a question about any of this, or say hello? Okay, well, we won't take up any more time then. Phil, once again, thank you so much, and Jacob, thank you as well. We're going to hear from another member of the community who's written an article that I think is pretty interesting, but I don't want to steal his thunder. Luca, you want to say hi and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what we're going to be talking about? Do it.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, I'm Luca, and actually to continue the conversation, I wrote this article just because of the reason that on Discord I kept receiving some questions, and I had to keep repeating them, and I couldn't explain them so well in depth. So I decided to write this article that I hope will be useful for more developers, because it's something, a challenge that I faced while developing my latest project, that, to tell you, it's still not officially announced. We are going to announce it on Tuesday on FlowFest. So I ask you to keep the secret and keep it between us for the moment. So I'm just going to share my screen super quick so that I can show you. Can you see the article?
Almost, yes, we totally see it.
Okay.
Go on.
Awesome. So yeah, the article is about how to sign messages can safeguard your drop against bot attacks on Flow. So the problem I had when I was writing my project is that I'm gonna have a drop, and the main problem is that now the standard, it's almost to run everything off chain, so make a credit card payment, and then behind the scene with the backend you send, you make the transactions and you send the packs to people. But that was not the ideal solution. I think it's complicating things more than it should, and I was trying to find a full on-chain solution that could work for me, while avoiding all the crazy running of bots, trying to get all the packs before legitimate people and stuff like that. So I really worked hard on how to find a solution for this problem, and what I came up with, it's this solution based on signing messages. So in the first part, I won't go through too many details, but the first part, it's about the login process. I know that there was a link also about the crypto login in some documentation, but it was not implemented yet. So I thought to explain it here a bit more. So it works very simply by signing the message with FCL, and then validating the signature to the backend. And the backend will compare the random string and the signature. And with a simple script, you can then check if the signature is valid or not. And this will basically tell you the owner of this address is verified, and he can do everything he wants on that address. So you can validate and log in him on the backend as well. Having this in place, it's like one way of validating the user. to the backend. And then we go back to the second part of the article where I explain how to make the pack purchase secure by doing a little bit the same concept, but the other way around. And the idea is that you create a pack, and within each pack you put a random string that, of course, anyone on the blockchain will be able to see. It's not a secret, but it's a random string for each pack. Then on your backend, you will create a signature for that pack, and you won't run it on the chain. You will run it locally, and only you will know the signature for that pack. And you will store it secretly in your MySQL database. When the drop day will come, all you have to do really is allow people in by logging them in. So using a Qt to make a randomly generated queuing system like the NBA Top Shot, all those things will have to be in place. And then at the end of the queue, what you will have to do is simply pass the user the pack ID and the signature that you and only you know and you generated. The user will then be able to use this signature and pass it to the purchase function as a parameter. And as you can see here, I basically pass the signature, and the function, the purchase function, will take that signature and compare it with another signature that will generate within the function itself. And if the signature is valid, then you are allowed to buy the pack. Otherwise, any bot that will try to run the purchase function won't be allowed because they don't have the signature that will unlock the actual purchase. So I find this a nice way of still keeping control of your sales while having a public function that anyone can use freely from FCL without having complicated backend infrastructures. And I think it makes it much more easy, at least for me, to manage a drop without having to sweat and make sure that all the backend is running and I have 50 transactions running at the same time. So I can forget about all that. So yeah, I'll leave the link in the chat so for you to take a look and see if you find it useful. I hope you do. And this is, I think, one of those articles that should definitely go in your list, Phil, hopefully. And you will see that I mentioned my next project, that it's Flowvatar. I can't tell you too much right now. Again, please keep the secret until Tuesday when there will be official announcement. But it's a new take on PFP, very fresh. So I just tease you that it will bring something new to the PFP ecosystem, where you will be the main actor, the main protagonist in choosing the combination of your avatar, and not like a randomly generated algorithm, but you will have the power to choose all the combinations you want. And I hope you like it.
Thank you, Luca. I love those little guys. Yeah, having the on-chain methodology for mitigating bots seems like a worthy problem to solve. So really appreciate you taking the time to dive in and explain that to everybody. Did anybody have any questions for Luca about any of that?
Yeah, Luca, it's Phil here. Really interesting work, and I'm looking forward to kind of diving in a little bit more and checking it out. I think everyone's kind of seen this coming. Do you mind if I add that article to my repo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I'll send it to you now. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Awesome. We love that. That's so cool. Anybody else want to chime in with a question? So generally, we give everybody a chance to break out into our respective chat rooms so that you can pick the brains of the experts in their respective disciplines. I suppose we should do that. There's the cadence room, the SDK room, /FCL. If anybody wishes to ask our resident experts questions, this will be a great opportunity to do that. So we'll give everybody a chance to pop over to those rooms or hang out here. No pressure, either way. Okay, I guess we're gonna hang out. Oh, someone's in a very loud place. Well, so with our remaining time, we would love to hear from members of the community that are endeavoring to build on Flow or thinking about it, have questions, want to introduce themselves, and tell us about what you've got going on. Is there such a person with us now that wishes to connect with us and tell us about what they're working on?
I can go.
Lovely. It sounds like we have a couple people. So yeah, cue yourselves up, but go on. Who is this?
So my name's Marcus. I'm from a company called Verisart. I think we've spoken in the past before, Albert. We're basically working with artists to help verify their identity and prove their NFT was really created by them. So if you ever want to go back into sort of the provenance of an artwork, you can see that they're really involved with that. I've been having some conversations with a few people around the place. So the guys at Verses, Bjartex, one name that pops up, who's been helping me out. But yeah, we're just really interested in talking with people who are interested in building marketplaces about how we can sort of build a consensus around following NFT sales, so that we can help artists understand where their work's going, but also so people can see the provenance of artwork. Yeah, I just wanted to put a shout out to sort of put my name out there and say hello.
Lovely, Marcus. Thank you. I had a random question for you, actually, or maybe for everybody. There's some discussion around whether or not artists need to have their own specific smart contract. So if I created a platform where anybody can mint their artwork on our blockchain or any blockchain, perhaps, if is as part of the provenance, as part of making my artwork, I guess, authentic, do I need to have my own smart contract? And this is not a technical question, right? More like a philosophical question.
Yeah, I mean, some of the artists who we've spoken to, they've been really interested in it. I think we've got a real range in our users. We recently helped an artist do a drop on Flow, actually, the Leo Kyodiskin, I hope I said his name right. But there was a drop done at your NYC NFT event, NFT NYC event, and he was like, he's really up with like contracts and having an individual contract, and those people who understand that, they're really keen on having their sovereign contract, the contract they own. But equally, there are those who are just starting out and they're happy to use sort of a vendor supplied one. So we've just released a contract based on Ethereum at the moment, but we are hoping to come to Flow in the not too distant future. And so, yeah, it's definitely having a sovereign contract seems to be of interest to artists.
See, so our smart contract folks bailed before I asked that question, and that's too bad, because I kind of wish, like Josh, for example, got to hear that. But yeah, it's I guess it's for the savvier artists. They tend to want to have their own contract, and that's fair enough.
Exactly. And I think as sort of knowledge around this increases, this will. Oh, thanks very much for that link there, Unlocked. So yeah, they. Yeah, I think as people build up in savviness on this, like this can only become a more important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, people are getting savvier by the moment. Well, Marcus, thanks so much for chiming in and saying hi. Really appreciate that, and good to hear from you. Was there any? I heard somebody else unmute before Marcus started speaking or during. Is
Yeah,
that person there? Hi.
I was unmuting as well. Hi, I'm Louis. I just wanted to to pick up on one of the points that was mentioned around mining the Discord, for knowledge and Q&A. Like I'm definitely one of those guys who are on the first part of their learning journey with one project in mind and going through cryptodepy and and all this great content that's already there. And I had the same issue, and I'm actually finding most of the answers by searching through here, and that's how I ended up like creating the tag on Stack Overflow actually. And so because I saw there that there's quite a few projects that are called Cadence, quite a few projects that are called Flow, and most of there are not very many questions on Stack Overflow yet about this on Flow and this Cadence, and so I I combine both into sort of more this explicit tag, I guess, called on flow cadence, and in the hope of like maybe this can play a role into migrating some of that good content up there, because I find Stack Overflow as being one good tool for that. But yeah, and it's the first office hours actually that I'm joining.
Well, thanks, Louis, for joining us. And yeah, there are some folks on the developer experience team that are working on migrating that content over to Stack Overflow. I don't personally know exactly where we are with that, but we hear you. And that tag sounds like it would be super helpful. So we'll, first of all, thank you for joining us for this office hours, and please, don't be a stranger. For now, Discord is it's become a repository for this information for now. So I would encourage people to use the search if you have a question and you can't seem to find answers anywhere. And by all means, we try our very best to answer questions as they come in our, on our Discord server and the various rooms that we
For
have.
sure. Yeah. The answers were super helpful actually, and this
Very cool.
is really cool.
So, while we're chatting, do you want to talk about what you're building, Louis, and maybe ask a question? Now's kind of a good time.
So actually at this stage it's very blurry. I'm actually trying to figure out some technical questions about what do I put on chain, what do I put off chain, and actually the article that was shared earlier is going to be a great read. So the project that I'm working on has to do with football actually, and we are not sure exactly what we want to do, but it's going to be some kind of NFT drop, potentially some NFT marketplace film built on Flow, and essentially now I'm trying to figure out how much do I put off chain, with like e-commerce stack. Uh, Even like you can go as far as like using Shopify and as an CMS or stuff like this, and how much do I need to keep on chain and things like this. So at this stage, it's like really far, not really far, I guess, hopefully, but like it's still a bit blurry for me, and I'm part-time working on this, so I'm diving in, full time and buckling up, and yeah, like in that regard, cryptodepy and liquidity items code bases have been super helpful, and now I'm sort of at this next stage where I'm trying to figure out this on-chain off-chain thing where I haven't found so far any really reference. I guess I need to dive deeper on the GT items. That's where I am basically right now. So, but if anyone has like useful, thoughts or links regarding this, or if you can relate to where I am in my journey, like just leave me a shout or something.
Very cool, and that's a question that comes up a lot. I think the good news is there's no hard and fast way to know exactly what should and shouldn't be off chain. I mean, we certainly have thoughts and strong opinions with respect to NFTs and what should be on and off chain. But generally, people kind of navigate that for themselves, and we're happy to be part of their journey of discovery and trying to help them understand, what might make more sense to be on chain or not. And the choices that you make don't have to be permanent. This can be, you can start with a more lightweight approach and rely more and more on your contracts and or the blockchain for adding features and whatnot. But we would love to be part of your journey. And Louis, if you wanted to have a chat with us on the Flow team, it sounds like you're already hanging out on Discord. You don't have to make those decisions alone. We can certainly kind of give you your options there and talk through some of those.
Yeah. So some of my some of my non-technical colleagues are already in touch with the Flow team. I'm the tech guy coming from the other end, basically. I come more from the bottom up approach and hanging out here and stuff. But I believe we're already in touch with you guys in other ways. But yeah, we'll definitely like meet up at the two ends will meet at some point.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, thanks so much for saying hi. I really appreciate you stopping by and telling us about what you got going on. We have just a few minutes left. Were there any other folks that would like to chime in, say hi, ask a question, etc.? I love that there's somebody named Ned Ryerson in here. I've seen Groundhog Day like a million times. So shout out to Ned Ryerson, the insurance salesman from Groundhog Day. That is certainly entertaining. We might just wrap it up, guys. If nobody else wants to ask a question or be brave and just say hi in our last few minutes. I guess. Oh, hey, Pete. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? I don't have anything important to say. I was just going to say it's cool to see all the ballers in the chat as well.
Yes, that is cool. You know what? Yes, I should have thought to say something about that. Glad you did. Very cool. Well, everybody, I hope you had as much fun as I did. We will do this again soon. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. And have a fantastic weekend. And we will see you all next week. Or we'll hear you all next week. How about that?
Thank you.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.